Patrick's Day, everybody.
We didn't all wear green.
Yeah. Actually, my granddaughter yesterday said, "Don't forget to wear green tomorrow, Grammy." And I'm like, I don't think I have anything green.
I know.
For
When you
yoga.
think about it, this is sort of green.
Yeah, you're sort of green.
She was probably worried about you getting pinched.
Yeah. That 7-year-old, yeah. So sit however's comfortable. You know, nobody's in a chair today, but if you're at home in a chair and you are watching, feel free to sit in a chair. But get comfortable for your hips. If you want to sit up on a blanket or two, do, so your hips feel good. If you need to stretch your legs out, do. But just close your eyes. Maybe shift around a little bit to feel your sitting bones supporting you there and feeling that length upward through the top of your head. And then just watch your breath easily coming in and going out through your nose. And if it helps you to breathe in really deeply and breathe out through your mouth a couple of times, sometimes those cleansing breaths feel good. But feel the breath coming into the belly, feeling your belly expand a little bit. If you're really comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, you can. And let's start to just come forward and back, letting your exhalations bring you forward, doesn't matter how far. And let your inhales bring you back up. So thinking of keeping your back nice and long, and really let the back of your head release to be in line with your spine so that you don't end up with your chin kind of leading forward like that, but keeping that ease of lengthening the back of your neck and throat. And enjoy feeling the breath move the body, really. And then the next time that you end up forward, stay there. You can use your hands to support you. You don't have to go far if you don't want. You can stay just a little bit forward. You can walk further forward if you want to. Just be mindful of your back. Let your low back start to stretch out and your hips a little bit. If you're able to let your head release and hang a little bit, if that's okay, do, just to really let your upper back and your neck release a little more. One more breath there. And then we'll slowly let ourselves come on back up to sitting. Let your hands come on out on to the floor beside you. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now inhale just your right arm up. And bring it across your chest and kind of hook your hand right there over the top of your shoulder. Let yourself feel the weight of your arm. And then tilt your head to the right. Let your right ear come towards your right shoulder. And if you feel quite a bit in the side of the neck there, just kind of press down a little bit into your hand just to give yourself a little more weight. Feel the breath helping you just release a little more through that right side of your neck. And then we're going to rise on back up with the head. Release your arm back on down, fingertips to the floor. And we'll inhale the left arm up. And again, as you bring it across the chest, you kind of find a good way to hook your hand over the top of your shoulder. Let your elbow really release down there. And then tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder. Letting yourself feel, again, a little pressure down into that hand if you need to help you find a little more release. You're just really feeling the weight of the arm. rise on back up. Let your head come back up. Let your arms come on out beside you. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Bring your right hand around, maybe towards your knee there, to your left knee. Maybe not, maybe the midline. Just come into that twist, waking up the spine here. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and go all the way around into the other direction. So just enjoy. Feeling that twist in the middle of your back, sitting bones drawing down. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around into center again. We're going to switch the cross of our legs. So if you need to stretch them out, if you are coming cross-legged again, bring your other leg in front. Keep your legs long if you need, or soles of the feet together if you'd rather. And then with this leg in front, let's come forward and back again. Let your exhales bring you forward, and your inhales bring you back up. So that easy rocking motion. It's almost like you imagine you're leading a little bit with your chest, really, which keeps you into that long back. Good. And the next time you come forward, again, let yourself stay forward. And you can use your hands to help you. You can stay up high. It's fine. And then come up enough to just let yourself walk out over towards your right thigh. So you're coming out over that thigh a little bit. Draw your left sit bone back a little. And then come back through center, walk your way back and come over to the other side. So you're just extending a little bit out over that thigh now. Let yourself feel your right sit bone drawing back a little, even though it might be off the floor, it's fine. And then come on back into center again. And let's walk ourselves all the way back up. Release our hands on out beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And now, send your hands out, clasp them, and send the palms out forward of you. Let yourself just wake up through your wrists and your hands a little bit there. And then bring your hands back in towards your chest, but turn them the other way. So now your palms are facing in towards your chest. And your fingers are interlinked here. And you're going to imagine you're trying to pull them apart, but don't let them come apart, right? Your fingers are kind of locked. You're pulling your elbows away from the midline. Try not to tense your shoulders up. Try to feel the tops of the shoulders releasing down. And then let your elbows come down. Let your hands come back to meet in front of your chest into prayer hands. Feel the connection of each of your fingers and your thumbs and your palms. Good, and then we'll release and come on down, shake everything out a little bit. We're going to come on around towards hands and knees. So, you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. You can grab a chair to have your hands on. You can, if you're iffy with your hands or your wrists, you can be up on blocks. You can be down like this on blocks if you want to, on your forearms. If you want to get out of your hands entirely, do it, right? So as you start to move through your cat-cows, just be mindful of feeling that flowing through the back, but at the same time not putting too much pressure into your hands. So adjusting if you need to, right? And just enjoy. Feel the tailbone initiate there. Let yourself roll through the spine to come into either your cat or your cow. Feel your shoulders, because as your, hands are down there, you're really feeling that engagement up into your shoulders. So one more, moving into whatever you're heading in towards there, whichever pose, and then come on back into neutral spine. And let's sit our right foot behind us on the floor. Since none of us are in a chair, it's just like letting the back of the leg open up here now, so that you're keeping your left knee down, reaching through the right inner heel. Now zip up your low belly a little bit. And then we're going to switch legs. So sending that left foot back and curling the toes under, press into the heel back there. Feel that engagement of your belly a little bit there. Feel your calf. Good. And then we'll bring that knee back down. And now just let yourself look over your right shoulder. And send your hips a little to the right too. right? So you're kind of coming into a little more stretch through the left side body. And then come back to look between your hands. We're gonna go the other side, look over your left shoulder. Let your hip come a little bit over that way too, towards the left. And then release back into center. And we're gonna step our left foot forward here to come into lunge, so you know whatever you want underneath your hands. It can be the chair, it can be the blocks, it can be the floor if you want, or it can be any height too. You know those blocks, they're fun because you can switch them from low to high or middle. And then let yourself take your time. Find your lunge here. Find that alignment of that front knee. Releasing into the back of the right leg here now. Draw your shoulders down. Good. And let's switch legs. So however you like to do that, coming to the other side. Feel that sense. Remember that you're on very narrow railroad tracks. Finding that alignment of that front knee. Releasing into this long back body here. Good. And let's switch legs again. So bringing that left foot forward, and I know some of you like to come up enough to put your left hand or forearm up onto your thigh. If you like to do that, you can. You don't need to. It's totally up to you whether you want to bring a hand up there and forearm up there. And we're going to switch one more time. So again, once you get the alignment of your lunge and you feel pretty good about it, if you want to bring up your forearm or your hand to your thigh, you can. Feel that length in the back of the body. Imagine the back of your head being pretty much in line with your spine. Nice. And then we'll bring hands down. If they were up, we're going to step on forward into standing forward bend. So take your time, walk a little bit. Actually, lift one heel at a time when you bend your knee. Let yourself easily walk in your forward bend so you feel your feet, right? And as you come up with the heel, you're going to feel that sense of coming into the toes, pressing down into the floor. And then release on back to both heels down. Knees can be bent, you know that, or straight. That's up to you. Use support however you need, or let your arms hang down, whatever works for you. And then just breathe. Let yourself go right to your breaths. Watching your inhales all the way in, your exhales all the way out. Good, one more breath. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, you adjust however you need. If you need to look at your feet or walk in place, kind of shake your hands out a little bit, wiggle your fingers around, so that when you start to bring your gaze forward and you feel really nice and open, you're going to feel your arms just hanging. Just let your arms hang naturally down. You're not adjusting them in any way. They're really just hanging down from the shoulder girdle, and feel your alignment of your pelvis there. Let yourself feel very balanced between your feet now. And then just bend your elbows and softly let your hands meet right there in front of your chest. Feel each finger really gently coming together, your thumbs, whatever part of your palms are touching. And we will unfold our arms right on back down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll come on forward into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back, whether you want to put your hands on your shins or your blocks or on a chair or the floor. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. So you know, if you're using the blocks, you might have your heels on the floor. You might bend your knees. You might have your heels hovering a little. It really depends on how far you want to step back. Pay attention to how your shoulders feel. So if your hands are on the floor, you are more like an upside down V, right? Take your time, hug those elbows gently towards each other. We're gonna, on the next inhale, come on out towards a plank. You can come onto your forearms right away. You can, if you want, put your knees down and do a half plank there. Be where you can be, finding the strength there in the core body and letting yourself feel your arms, your shoulders. We're gonna come on back into down dog from there. So take your time, walk a little bit if you want to in your dog, bending a knee at a time. Now let it feel like you're easing your way into it. And we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge from here. Press those feet gently away from each other. Feel your hips engaging. And then we'll step forward into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, just be mindful of your own back. If you like to release to hold your elbows, go for it. If you know your back needs you to have support, use support. Feel that nice sense of releasing through your face and your jaw. Feel really soft, in other words, through your face and around your eyes and your mouth. Even your throat. Let your throat feel really released. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms and inhale just our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then from there, come on over into a little side stretch. If your shoulder bothers you, you know, you don't even have to put your hand up there to get a side stretch. You can keep your hand down. So it's up to you. Release to where you can be. And then we'll rise up and lower that arm on down. And if you're able to inhale that left arm up and overhead, do. And then we'll come over into side stretch on the other side. So feeling the breath, expand the left ribs here. And then we'll rise on back up. We're going to lower both arms down. And this time, let's bring the arms forward and up overhead. You can widen them out and do a wide V if you want, or you can have your hands right directly over your shoulders. But think about the pinkies turning in towards each other and your shoulders coming down away from your ears. One more inhale. You can look up if you choose to. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into that standing forward bend. Next inhale is going to help you find that long, flat back. Again, wherever you want your hands to help support you there. And we'll step our left foot back this time. Come into lunge. Press the feet gently away from each other. Draw the shoulders away from your ears. Inhale. And exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, be mindful as you come into your dog. It doesn't matter whether your hands are up on a chair seat or blocks or down on the floor. Just let yourself be easy and then come on out towards plank. Again, you can go right down to your forearms if you want to get out of your hands. You can put your knees down. You can do little push-ups if you want. You can bend your elbows. Let yourself come a little more into the arms. Take your time. Do what feels really right for you. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. Good. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to come into that lunge. And you know, you can put your right knee down to get there. You can put both knees down if you need to. Letting yourself come back into that lunge. And then we'll come forward into standing forward bend. Check out your feet. Just feel pretty good. See if you can float your toes up for a second. Feel that sense of really not rolling to the outside and the insides of your feet, right? And then let your toes gently come back down to the floor and release to your forward bend again, wherever you like. I mean, some of you might even want to put your hands up on your back, clasping them up on your back if that feels good to kind of take your arms out of the picture. Or you might decide you need to use your arms or your hands to support you. You know that. Nice, easy breaths. Full and deep. Really let yourself stay with the breath all the way through. Let our hands be on our hips as we rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's inhale our hands right back up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward from your hips into your forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice, flat, long back again. You can bend your knees, remember, or you can keep them straight. And we're going to walk into down dog from here. So you kind of pick the height you want your hands to be at. Come back into a little dog there. Be mindful. And on your next inhale, come on out to plank. It is totally optional here to do a back bend. You don't need to, but you can if you want. You can come through to an up dog. You can put your knees down and come into more of a Sphinx or a Cobra pose. And then we'll come on back into down dog again. Walk a little bit if you need to. Wag your tail if you want. Just let yourself pick a foot up if it feels good. Just kind of play around a little bit in your dog. And then, when you're ready, we'll do that same thing coming out towards a plank. Again, you don't have to go into a back bend, but you can if you want. Totally up to you what you do from that. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our right foot forward from here to come into that lunge. And again, you can put knee or knees down to get there. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Full, deep breaths. Let them, if you can, feel fairly even. Feeling the movement of the ribs as you breathe in and out. One more nice full breath. And then we're going to bring our hands to our hips, press into our feet, and rise on up. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Just enjoy your mountain pose now. So if you need to adjust to get balanced out, do. Or if you need to kind of look at your feet, make sure they're in a place where you feel very, very much balanced between them. And then just bring your gaze on out, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Just imagine you're looking way out towards the horizon. Feeling that sense of space around you. Nice, and then we'll release to unfold our arms right on back down beside us and do whatever you need to do, shake out, move around if you need to. We're going to come into some warriors, but you'll want to have your blocks handy to the front of your mat there. We're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So lining up that heel back, that foot back there about parallel to the back edge of your mat. And then bending into your front knee here. Take your time, look at your knee, make sure, sometimes it just starts to go a little inward without realizing. So, and then from here, fold your arms up for a second, and then bring your right arm under your left. Give yourself a bit of a hug there. You can stay right here. Or you can go ahead and come into an eagle half wrap or wrap if you choose to. You don't need to, just whatever feels the most releasing between your shoulder blades on your back. So whether you're bringing the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow or coming into that full wrap or just hugging. And then go ahead and release. We're going to open into warrior two arms from there. Let yourself just reach out through your fingertips. Feel that sense of reaching back through the right hand, forward through the left, so that you feel like that kind of balance, right? You feel really easy open across your chest and your upper back. And then we'll turn our left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let your right hand just give you a little support on your leg back there. One more full breath into the left side. And on the exhale, we'll come into our side angle. So, you can put your hand on your leg. You don't have to go to your forearm. You can go down as low as you want. But just think about keeping long through that underside of your body. Adding the top arm, if you choose, to bring it up into line with the right side of the body. And that is optional too. You don't have to add that arm. You can keep your hand down. Take your time. Feel that length through both sides of the body. Feel your right sitting bone reaching towards your right heel. And then we're gonna come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. Feel that sense of core strength there. And let's put our right hand on our right hip, straighten our left knee out, and come down for triangle with that left hand. Now me, I love to use a block. Sometimes I love 2 blocks better than 1 block actually, but you can have your hand on your leg, you can have your hand on a block or blocks behind or in front of your foot. And then you can look down for a second, look at your left foot and make sure you're not rolling to the pinky toe side of your foot. It's kind of tempting to do that. And then go ahead and turn your head to look towards the long edge of your mat. If you want to add the right arm up, it can come straight up from your shoulder. And now as you feel like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet, press them away from each other, but engage your thighs upward. A lot of work going on in the legs. Lengthening through the torso here, all the way out through the top of your head. Now we're going to bend the left knee and we're coming back to warrior two from here. So try to feel the core body bringing you back into that warrior two. And now we're going to let both our hands come down and we're going to turn and come into a lunge. So you might want to have your blocks handy there to release yourself with the right heel directly behind you. And then we'll bring our left hand up to our left hip and add a little twist here because it'll just feel really good. You can keep your hand on your low back. You can stretch your arm up if you prefer to. Remember to think about your head. So like let your head hang for a second. See how that feels. It's not quite as good as feeling the head be back up in line with your spine. So if you can, imagine the head as a part of your spine. And then we'll bring that left hand on back down. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And let yourself shift a little weight to your heels, okay? So that you just have a little more weight in your heels. Imagine your belly coming down towards your thighs a little bit. Knees are bent, right? You can let your head hang if you're able to. One more breath. And then even yourself out on your feet. Come into your standing forward bend for another nice full deep breath. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to come on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, as our hands come down, our head is going to float up like it gets even higher. It's like the top of the head gets closer towards the ceiling, but you're still grounded through your feet. So you've definitely grown. Finding that space in your spine. And then we'll go ahead and release. Unfold your arms. Shake out a little bit. We're going to come to the other side. So it'll be our left foot that steps back. And again, as you step back, how far you step back, you all know. It doesn't matter whether you're 2 feet or 3 feet or 4 feet apart with your feet. It's the bending of that front knee and getting aligned with your knee, right? Making sure when you look that sometimes it's just really tiny, it wants to come in, which puts the weight more onto the big toe side of your foot, right? But you want to try to be equal through the sides of the feet. We'll float the arms up briefly, then we'll bring our left arm under our right, so your right arm's on top this time for a hug. Maybe stay right there, right? If that feels good to stay there, do. If you like to head to the half wrap, you can slide the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow. Or you can come into your full wrap if you want to. Whatever feels the most releasing in your shoulders. Feel that breath coming into between the shoulder blades on the back if you can. Good. And then we're going to release the arms on down. And we'll inhale and rise the arms out into warrior two arms. Feeling that sense again of reaching equally out through both sets of fingertips. Open across your chest and your upper back. And feeling balanced between your right and your left, right? Even though you're not symmetrical, you feel like you're very equal from your feet up through your legs into your hips. And we'll turn the right palm up and let your left hand give you a little support as you take a nice couple of full breaths into the right side of the body. You know, if your neck hurts to look up, don't look up. You can kind of look forward. So one more breath here. And on the exhale, we're going to come into that side angle where you can put your hand, you can put your forearm down to your thigh. And again, you don't have to add the left arm, but you can if you want, up into line with your body. So you're thinking about keeping long through both sides of the body. Good. Enjoy that sense of drawing your right outer hip back a little bit, so that really keeps your knee in alignment. We're gonna come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Good. And now put your left hand down on your left hip to release it. Stretch your right leg long, so now both legs are straight. Triangle pose, bringing that right hand down. Now again, if you like to use support, you can have a chair under your hand. Once you get your hand down in triangle, sometimes you want to change the length of your stance to be a little longer. At least I do. So if you want to do that, you can. And again, looking at that right foot, making sure you're not rolling onto the outside of the foot. And then when you're ready to roll your left shoulder up and look to the long edge of your mat, you can stretch that left arm up overhead if you want to. Again, think about your head being more in line with your spine. Some of you might even want to turn to look up a little bit to the ceiling. If your neck says, no, I don't want to do that, just don't do it. One more breath. Really feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. And now we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to come on back to warrior two. So that takes a lot of core strength. Pressing the feet away from each other, getting yourself back into that warrior. And then just let your hands softly come down. We're going to find lunge, remember. So hands down to whatever height you want to be, and releasing that left heel directly behind, coming into your lunge. And right hand on up to the right hip or the low back, rolling your shoulder up. You can keep your hand down if you want. Again, you can stretch the arm up if you choose. So just be mindful. Again, think about the head being in line with your spine. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll bring our hand on back down into lunge. We're going to step forward again to get our feet right underneath us. And let your feet be just a little wider than you usually are in your Uttanasana. Go ahead, soften your knees. If you want to stack your blocks up, sometimes it feels good to stack your blocks up high enough to put your forearms on them when you're in a forward. It just changes the feeling of the pose. Or even sometimes people like to put them out there and put their head on the blocks, right? I mean, you can bend your knees, obviously, and you can stack the blocks up to where they're as high as they can go, too. But it's just a different feeling in a pose when you change how you're in it, right? Using some support. So just let yourself feel the ease of the backs of the legs opening up even more now. Feeling pretty good up into your hips. One more nice full breath. And then we will rise up. So go ahead, just keep your feet apart still, a little wider. Come on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale the hands down, just let yourself enjoy. Feel that nice sense of being a little broader in your stance, right? A little farther apart with your feet. And that too changes the way you feel, doesn't it? And simple little changes in all the poses can really make you feel totally different in a pose. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down and walk around a little bit if you need to. Shake out, whatever feels good. And we are going to need our blocks again, or turn the seat of the chair to face you if you're using a chair. Because we're going to bring our hands down to the highest height of the blocks and step our right foot back for a lunge. What we just were in. Just a regular lunge there. And now we're going to come into pyramid pose from down here. So we'll have to, most of us will have to bring that right foot in, up a little, shorten the stance, most of you, but not everybody. Sometimes people like a really long stance, but to get your heel on the floor, sometimes you just have to adjust a little shorter. So that heel is turned in slightly. There's a bit of turnout in the right leg. Let yourself be easy as you feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. So same thing as you were in your triangle pose. It is that engagement of the legs. It's like you're creating space in your knees. You're using all those muscles around your knees. Try to find a flat back now. So if you know that you tend to round up a bit into your back here, see if you can flatten as much as you can. Sometimes bringing your gaze for more like towards the front of your mat helps. So instead of thinking of looking behind yourself, think of looking straight down. And enjoy, feel those thighs lifting up. Now if you're very comfortable to bow forward in this pose, go ahead. If you feel like, oh, it would feel wonderful to bend my elbows a little bit or to bring my hands lower, even to let my head hang. Good, one more breath. And now come up again to get nice long spine going on here, flat back, because we're going to put our left hand up on our left hip and then roll the shoulder up into Revolve Triangle, right? So this is legs straight, thighs still working upward, and the twist in the middle of the back, trying to stay very level right here at the low back on your sacrum there. So one more breath. It's pretty intense. And then go ahead and release your left hand down. Now we're going to use our blocks, and we're going to walk around to a wide-legged forward bend. So it's like your blocks are an extension of your hands. Get yourself around into this wide-legged forward bend with your feet pretty parallel. And then go ahead and bend a knee at a time if that helps you adjust, right? Take your time, adjust into feeling your inner thighs. And if it hurts your knees, don't do it, you know that. Good. And then come on back into center. Let both your knees bend quite a bit. See if you can put your elbows above your knees to support your back and lengthen out in this squat where you're really long in your spine. So again, look down at the floor so that you keep your head in line with your spine. Feel a flatness coming into your back. And in fact, almost imagine that your heart is melting a little more down towards the ground. So not anything but just the heart. And that will help, the back come more into its natural curve there. Good. And now we're going to release to wherever you want to be to stay in this pose. If you want to grab some blocks and put them underneath your forearms or your head. Sometimes I like to put them under my head, and they can be high, and reach my arms overhead. I think that feels really good. Like you're doing down dog, but having your head supported. Or of course, you can bring your hands back towards between your feet or hold your own ankles if you want to. And you can support with forearms or head or hands. And just be mindful to watch your breath now all the way in and out. Soft face, let go through your jaw again. Good, one more breath. And now we're not going to come up, but we are going to get our hands on the blocks, okay? Because we're going to walk over towards our right foot. You're going to actually face towards the back door, the door you came in, not the back door, the door you came in. And let yourself find lunge there. So releasing that heel, left heel now directly behind you. Find your lunge first. Good. And now to come into pyramid. We're going to lower that back foot down. So again, you might have to put some weight in your hands on your blocks there. Adjust the length of your stance. Bring that back foot turned out just slightly, right? 20 to 30 degrees. Thighs are engaging up towards the hips now. So your legs are straight, but you're really protecting yourself by engaging your muscles. It's not like you're just depending on your bones and hanging out in your bones, right? You're lifting your thighs upward, and now you're going to think of that long, flat back. Tabletop back. So feeling that sense of releasing the heart down, just like we talked about before a little bit, so you come into the natural curves of your spine. And your backs of your legs will be talking to you, but it's a good talk. If you want to fold forward over that leg, you're more than welcome to bow forward. That is totally up to you. Don't do it if it doesn't feel good. Stay up. If it feels good to come forward over the leg, do. One more breath. And then we're going to come back to find that long back. Hands back onto the blocks if you came off of them. And bring your right hand to your right hip and roll that shoulder up. So now you've got your hand right down on your sacrum. You're feeling fairly level there. The twist is in the middle of your back, but you're still feeling that uplift of your thighs. It's pretty intense in the outside of the right leg, not to mention under me. I mean, I feel it in the backs of both legs, pretty intense as well. One more breath, and then we'll come on back down with the hand. And again, we're going to walk around with our blocks like they're part of our arms, back around. And once you get with your hands in front of you, go ahead and let your stance come the way you like. And now let's walk over towards the left. Now you don't have to use the blocks. You can have your hands on the floor, walk towards the left. You can be in front of your foot, or you can hold all the way onto your foot. But just stay there for a breath. Let yourself release and breathe. And then we'll come back to center, and we're going to go to the other side. So again, how far you go, whether you use the blocks or have your hands on the floor, that's up to you. Stay and just breathe. Let your body adjust. Let your legs and your hips adjust. Good. And then let's come on back into center again. And take your time. Get your hands to support you how you want. And now turn your toes out just a little bit, like you would in Goddess. And let both your knees bend, but you can support yourself. So if you need to stack your blocks up to get higher, stack your blocks up to get higher. Or maybe you feel like you want to get out of your hands, right? But just keep both your knees bent for a second and stay here. If it helps, it's better to bring your elbows above your knees, do that, right? Depends kind of on how far apart your feet are too. And just enjoy letting the hips release here into outward hip rotation. Good. And now come into straighter legs here. Right? Let both your legs be straight. You're still supporting yourself. And then bend both knees again. And now see if you can keep your right knee bent but straighten your left knee out. So you kind of shift over that way. And then come back through center, bend the left knee and straighten the right knee. So do a couple more of those. It's kind of like the same thing we do when our feet are parallel, but where knee is coming out over the center of your foot when you bend the knee. Good. And then finish off back at center with the knees bent. And then we're going to go ahead and get parallel with our feet again. So however you want to do that. And we are going to rise up, so hands to the thighs. If you need to readjust your feet before you come up, do let yourself. And if you're dizzy, man, we were there a while, be mindful of how you feel in your head. Walk your feet or jump your feet together, do whatever you want to get your feet together, and then move around a little bit. Good. Shake out your hands and stuff. And let's keep our mats just so we don't have to jumble around, but take your two blocks and go to a wall. Find a wall, any wall, there's plenty of them. You don't need your mat, and we'll come back to our mats after we do this. But let's bring our blocks. So you're going to turn with your feet towards the wall. Have your hands down on your blocks, and put your right foot back to the wall. Now, for this warrior three, with your toes down, you might need to keep both your knees bent. That is absolutely fine, right? So if your hand, and don't bang your foot into the wall. It's real easy to do. It's getting the right distance from the wall. It's so funny. You kind of like, usually I used to be really close to the wall, like, oh my gosh, like my foot, and then I bang it. But because it's like you feel like your legs are shorter than they are or something. But once you get set, you can look back at your right toes down, facing down, make sure they are. And this might be enough right here. This is pretty intense. And if your hamstrings are tight, your left leg is probably like really talking to you, right? If you push into that right foot on the wall and imagine you're pulling it up towards the ceiling, it's even more intense. But you know, sometimes it feels good to put your left hand just up onto your left thigh so that you have a little bit more going on, strengthening the legs and the hips there. Or you can put the hand on your chest, the left hand to your chest. Or you can bring your left arm forward, reach it forward, and press into that foot on the wall there. So one more breath wherever you are. Put the hand back down if it was up. Put the foot back down on the floor. Right away, put your left foot up because it feels like a huge relief to do that. And again, if you need to bend your knees a little bit, do. Look back at your toes. Make sure they're facing down. Everybody is really well aligned in here. So you want the foot, it's like your heel is directly back from your sitting bone. And then again, you can push into the wall. If you feel pretty good to lift your right hand up, you can put it up on your right thigh maybe to support yourself a little bit, or you can put it onto your chest if you want. Or you can reach it forward if you want, which, you know, lifts up the upper body a little bit. So you can do that if you choose, but you don't need to. Enjoy that strength in the legs and the hip. And then we'll release and come down and bring your feet down. And you know, you can come into a full squat. You can separate your knees like we were just doing and put your elbows above your knees. Or you can come all the way down if you choose to let your hips release. So be mindful of your knees. Let your low back and your hips release the way you choose. Good. Nice. And then from here, we are going to come back up, bring our feet under us so that we can rise on up, and then shake out a little bit, and we're going to come back onto our mats. And we're going to come onto our bellies on the floor once we get there. So come on down once you get to your mat, and let yourself make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on your hands. Let the knees bend and see if you can separate your knees just a little wider towards, it's hard on sticky mats, I know, but so they come towards the outside edges of your mat. And then let your feet just come to touch each other so you can keep them wide up high, so they're just kind of supporting each other. Or you can let the feet come down if it feels good in your hips, keeping the soles of the feet towards each other and let them come down a little bit towards the floor. If that doesn't feel good in your hips, don't do it. Just let them support each other up high. Let your hips release however feels best for you. Good, and then come up with the feet and let the knees come back under you. We're going to lengthen our legs down long and go ahead and come to the tops of the toes. Press into the top of your feet a little bit. Feel your knees float up off the ground so your legs are straight. And then go ahead and release. Let the legs totally relax. And let's lift our head up off our hands. Just let yourself feel your back body working a little bit there. And then let's just continue to come up towards the Sphinx Pose. Slipping our arms to give us support here underneath us. Now whether you have your elbows right under your shoulders or have them farther down towards your waist, that's up to you. Spread your fingers, really look at your hands, like look and see if your hands are pretty equal the way they are on the mat. So, you know, sometimes our hands want to do funny things. One hand might want to turn out more than the other, or, you know, but spread them really wide like you're trying to reach as far away as you can with your fingers, your thumbs, really feeling the grounding in the floor. And then let's bring our hands together. Interlace your fingers, clasp them, send your pinky finger out, and let's come on up into a half forearm plank. Pull yourself towards the front of your mat. You're on the flesh above your knees, and you're really feeling your belly engaging there. Now let's do options here. If you're like, okay, this is where I'm staying, you can come down and rest and go back to that one. You can lift your knees up off the floor and decide to be in a full forearm plank instead of a half forearm plank. Rest when you need, of course. Or some of you might want to put your knees down, kind of walk up towards your elbows more with your knees, and then come up into Dolphin Pose, where you have, it's like a down dog, only you're on your forearms. It's certainly not for everybody's shoulders, but some people might want to try it. You don't have to be in that steep either of an angle, right? You can have your feet further back. And sometimes I have to be honest, to me that feels worse in the shoulders than if you're more with your shoulders over your elbows. So take your time, stay in the plank or the half plank if you want, and rest when you need. Definitely rest your shoulders if you need. Good. Now when you're ready to come down, let yourself come back down to your belly, however you can get there. Once you get down, let your forehead come down. Bring your hands behind you and interlace your fingers on your low back. Clasp your hands back there. Right, now from here, let your elbows hug up towards the ceiling a bit. So you lift the elbows up. You feel how your chest opens up. Then see if you can just let your nose come off the ground. Float your head up a little bit. One more breath here. And then release and let your head come down. Let your arms come down. Now turn your palms down towards the floor. A little bit off your mat here. And on the next inhale, let's float everything up into a locust. It'll feel kind of easy compared to that. And let yourself really reach back through your fingertips. Reach through into your toes back there. You can even kind of draw your toes back like you are pressing into the balls of your feet, which is a really pretty good feeling in locust. One more breath. And then we're going to release down. We're going to come back towards child's pose. So let yourself release, coming into either onto your forearms or all the way back with your hips towards your heels. And you know that's totally up to you. Keep your arms soft if you can. And if you prefer to bring your arms down and back alongside your legs with the palms up, you can do that. And of course, if that puts too much into your hips and your knees, which it sometimes does, then just readjust and bring your arms back where you need to have them. Breathing into the low back. And if you have your head turned to the side, which is fine, some people really like to have their head turned sideways in child's pose. Just make sure you turn it and go the other way so you even out your neck there. Good. So one more breath. And then let your hands come where you need to help you up and around to sitting. We're going to come on around to sitting. If you want to sit on a blanket, do. But all we're going to do, you may not want to sit on a block if you usually do, because let's all take our right leg, okay? And just hold on to your leg like this. So you're holding on to the outside of your leg. And you're trying to let your leg just relax, right? So that if you dropped it, it would come down, which is really a lot harder than you think. Because once you pick it up, it wants to kind of tense, right? So try to let go and start to imagine you're stirring a pot. Right? So you're actually using your arms. It's really harder on your arms than anything like this is, because your leg is heavy. So see if you can feel like you're circling, like your hip joint is making these easy circles. And you can stop in reverse direction too, so that feels really differently to go the other way. And then see like you're just going to rock the baby back and forth. And some of you might go, oh, well, I just want this thing up closer to me. I want my leg to come in more. So you can do that if that feels good. You know, you can actually hold your leg in close to you. Not everybody's hips do that, so just be where you can. Let it feel really good. Good. And then, see if you can imagine, you're taking your right hand here just to draw the knee back. And it's really no big deal. You're just kind of changing a little bit about the angle of the hip there and how the femur's coming into the hip joint. So just do that for a second. Good. And some people like to think of bringing their arm over their shoulder. I probably wouldn't recommend trying that, but you can. You can think of, okay, what if I took my leg and brought it over my arm, you know? It actually is a huge hip release if you even think about doing that, right? Bringing your arm under your shoulder.
1992 was probably the last time I could have done that.
Okay, come on down. We're going to draw the other leg. So it's just kind of feeling a little bit different in your hip, right? To change the angle of what your leg's doing. But first, let's stir. So first, now try to release. Again, it takes a lot of concentration because your leg wants to take over. At least mine always has. So to try to really let the leg be heavy in my hands and feel that weight as I really do the work with my arms and I really let go. And then again, you can reverse. Let the circle go the other way. Yes. And then you can rock the baby. Just back and forth. And again, if you feel like, well, I want my leg in closer, I think I can pull it in closer. You don't want to curve too much into your back though, right? If you pull your leg in, you still want to stay pretty long in your spine there. Good. And then again, this different angle sort of feeling, so that your left hand just, it's almost like, you know, if you were to draw a bow and arrow, right? But you're using your knee to be like the bow. So you're pulling back behind yourself, changing that angle. And again, it's that idea of if you could think about putting your leg all the way over your arm, right? And it is a huge hip release. You can't really tell by looking at it, but it is. Oh, you got hot. You got by a fan. Good thinking. And then let yourself release and come on down and shake your legs out a little bit. Good. Really release and flip-flop them. Do little wiper, old-fashioned wiper blades in and out, in and out, in and out. Good. And then, just for fun, now you don't have to do this. You can come into Badakanasana, just let your feet stay on the floor and either stay sitting tall or come a little forward. Or if you want to play a little bit different way in Badakanasana, you can pick your feet up and balance, which actually really engages your core body, right? So you don't have to. I mean, you can try to reach down more towards your feet. If you want to play a little bit, you can let one foot come off the other one, which is a lot of work, because then you really you feel how your belly and your hip work and your back. So you can play one foot at a time. You can do both feet. If you like to do both feet, you can. So that you really don't want to round in this one. It's like your chest comes forward, so that, I mean, even if you wanted to let your legs come long and balance, right? But you don't have to hold your feet to do that, right? It's harder if you can't get your feet. I have to admit to you, if you're holding your legs, it's a lot harder than holding your feet. There you go. Good job. And then come on down with the feet. Go ahead and let your feet come out a little more than you usually do for Badakanasana, and come on forward a little bit. And you know, that might be a little bit, you may go, and you know, it's okay if you feel like, I just want to let my head come down and relax. It's okay to round your back some, right? So let yourself release where you can there. Good. And then we're going to slowly come up. And go ahead and bring your legs out, stretch them out for a minute. We're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So bring yourself on down, and once you get down there, let your feet come onto the floor. Let your arms come out beside you into a T position, and then let your knees come from side to side at your own pace. And also let them come down as much as you want towards the ground when they go off to one side. You know, you may want to let the knees come down, hang just as far as they can go and stay there, or you might want to continually go back and forth with your knees, whatever feels good. Good. And then finish off. So if you need to even off, go to another side to stay for a couple more breaths too. And then we'll bring the knees back up into center. And from here, keep your left foot on the floor, but bring your right knee in towards you. Pull behind your right thigh. And extend your right foot up towards the ceiling. Now, it doesn't matter if your leg comes totally straight. It can, if you want it to. Or you can let the knee be a little bent. If you can pull your thigh in a little more towards your ribs, your outer ribs, whether the knee is straight or bent, you'll get more into the back of your leg. Now see what happens if you kind of try to stay where you have your leg now and extend your left leg down long on the floor. And let yourself enjoy. It's like the strap stretches without the strap, right? So letting yourself release in the back of your leg. And now from here, start to and use your left hand to kind of hold your right leg. Let it come to the left, in towards a twist. So you've got your hand that can kind of hold the inside of your leg. You're going to come over as far as you want, in towards a twist. I mean, you may want to go all the way down towards the ground. You might want to make a little stand with your hand and support your leg. Let yourself feel the outside of your leg a little bit, maybe up into your back, of course. One more breath. And then come on back up to the top with that leg. And we're going to bring both knees in towards the chest for a second. Let your knees come side to side a little bit. Release. And then put your right foot on the floor and hold behind your left thigh and extend your left foot up towards the ceiling. Again, this is up to you. That leg can be quite far away from you. If it feels good to encourage the thigh in more a little bit towards your outside of your ribs, do. Your knee can stay bent some. You can have it straighter. That's up to you. But get to where okay, I'm okay here now. And start to extend the right leg long on the floor. Flexing through the foot. Now appreciating not only the back of the left leg, but also the openness in the front of your right hip. Good. And now, let yourself start to move that leg over the midline across to the right. Your left arm can just reach out onto the floor beside you, and your right hand can kind of support you as you come over. If you're okay to lift the left hip off the floor and go deeper, do. Take your time. Let yourself enjoy. One more breath. And then we'll head on back up to the top with that leg. Bend the knee, bring both knees on in, and go ahead and come into a little happy baby pose if that feels okay for you. Or perhaps you'd prefer to straighten your legs out and come into a wide angle. Start to feel kind of what your body needs you to do right now. And that could actually be anything. You may decide, wow, I need another twist, or I want to do a little bicycling up here with my legs, or a little bit of cross-country skiing on the ceiling. Just play a little bit. And if you feel like you need to do another kind of a twist, or maybe you feel like you want to put your feet down and do a Badakanasana again with your feet on the floor, soles of the feet together, or another kind of hip opener, or twist. Or of course, if you want to do a bridge pose, by all means do that. You've got time. Take your time, so that you kind of listen to what your body feels the most like doing. Really, I'm going to start to turn lights out and all, but we have plenty of time to get comfortable. So I would love to bring stuff. Or anybody. If a blanket sounds good for cover or for your head, by all means let me bring you one. Get out there and you at first think you're fine, but then you feel like something would be nice to have, let me know. Remember, if you feel tense somewhere, just let yourself kind of wiggle into Shavasana if you need to. In other words, if your shoulders or your hips feel a little like you need to move a little bit, or your head, sometimes rolling your head a little side to side helps. And just let yourself feel that support of the ground underneath you. Starting to just watch watch your breath as it comes in and goes out through your nose. And appreciate how it becomes quieter, just very naturally your breath quiets down. Your body will follow the breath into really releasing deeper and deeper. And then your thoughts will as well become fewer. Just keep coming back to your breath. Give yourself time to benefit from all you just did. And allow yourself to completely and fully relax. extremities lead you